Welcome to our monthly press conference. We're going to go out of order a little bit this time. Special star today is Mr. Stephen Wade. He's our finance director, and he does a lot for us in trying to keep us informed about the city's business and how we're conducting business. I think it's important for us to get updates so that people are caught up with the timelines of our business. And Mr. Wade's going to give us a quick overview of our upcoming conversations with regards to the capital improvement plan. Stephen?
Thank you, sir. Mr. Mayor, we start on next Tuesday. We start our CIP process, which is our capital look at it. We'll start on Tuesday in the evening. Citizens can watch this on Facebook or on TV4. The book itself will be published at Topeka.org. You'll be able to see that, the CIP book and all its requests here in a couple of days. But we'll start that process, sir, on Tuesday. The process will run through the end of May. So at that point in time, we will ask the council to make full consideration.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Stephen. And during that time, between now and then, obviously with the governing body members, if they have constituents who are looking at this process and have questions about something they see in the CIP, probably the best route is to take it to their council member and then have them bring it to your attention.
That'd be ideal, to take it to council.
Yeah.
And then if for whatever reason they're having trouble getting a hold of their council member or don't know who that is, they can always email to budget@topeka.org.
Okay. Well, I think that's important that people know that they do have an opportunity, if not during our formal discussions, that informally outside of those discussions, they can make that contact with their council member. And I would encourage them to do so if they have some questions, because that's this whole effort, is to make sure that people who sometimes feel that they're left in the dark or that things are being done without really being active in trying to include the public, that this includes them all along the way so that hopefully there are no surprises. So when we do get to those decision-making points, that they feel comfortable that we've really done our due diligence to include that input. And Stephen's very knowledgeable. He's been very good for us in his position, and let's put him to work. So if you have those questions, please, I encourage you to contact him as much as possible. Okay. Thank you, Stephen.
Thanks,
I appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thank you. And now I'll have Mr. City Manager Bill Cochran join me, and we'll get into what our, I guess, normal back and forth is with regards to city business. There's one thing that I do want to bring up that was mentioned during one of City Manager's stellar appearances on local station, and that is the process that we're going through with redistricting. And if you would talk a little bit about that, City Manager.
Yeah, redistricting is one of those things that we will be going through this year because of our census count from the last time. We've had a couple districts that lost population, a couple districts that gained population, but it was enough that it put it over the threshold. So we will be doing a redistricting committee. We need to have our committee in place by the first part of July is what our goal is, but we have to have it together by the end of July. Councilman, I guess Deputy Mayor Duncan is in charge of that, and he has tasked the council members to submit names by this Friday to him as to who will be on that committee. So each district council member has an opportunity to put somebody on that committee. Unfortunately, the mayor does not get one because that's a citywide race, so he does not get to place somebody on that. But that redistricting team will be 9 members, and then it'll have assistance from the city attorney's office. So if you're interested in being on that committee, please notify your local council member, your district member, by this Friday that you're interested. Doesn't necessarily mean that you'll be on it, but the district members get to place the individuals on those committees.
Well, thank you. For those people who may not even know who their council member is sometimes, go down to the city website and take a look at it, and you can just type in your address, I believe, and it'll tell you who your representative is. And I think this is a good opportunity, again, to be involved in the real work of the city. Oftentimes, and I know I made that comment during a couple of my campaigns, is you wonder how those districts even get drawn because they're so convoluted. It looks like somebody just threw down some spaghetti and that's how it turned out. But there is some thought and process behind that. So if you're interested in that, please contact your city rep and express your interest, and hopefully you'll be selected to take part in that. So thank you for the update. The other thing I wanted to talk to about is recently we had, and I was going to initially name individuals, but recently we had a number of retirements from the Topeka Police Department and significant retirement from leadership in the fire department as well. I want to take this time to thank all of those retirees for their years of service in their respective departments. I know we get around to doing that at the retirement times, but sometimes it's really good to hear that through their careers. So for those who did retire, I wish them well in their new endeavors. For those who are looking at retirement down the road, I want you to know in advance that we value what you do for our departments, and we want to keep you as long as we can, because when you retire, all that experience leaves with you. And I think that's important for us to remember that now we have to rebuild and replace. And I think we're doing a much better job, in my opinion, of succession planning, of making sure that when some of those leaders leave, that we have people in line to take up those roles of responsibility, which is extremely important for us for continuity of service. And I think confidence that the community will have that we are looking at who our leaders will be with serious eyes. And so, again, congratulations to them. I wish them well. The other thing that the city manager brought up, and I also attended an update with Brian Armstrong, who's involved with the Quincy Viaduct project. And I think every other council member has had a chance to visit with Brian for the updates, haven't they, city manager?
A couple, especially the districts that are being impacted by the project.
Especially, you might want to speak to some of those updates if you would.
Yeah, you're going to start seeing some action that really is taking place on the Polk Quincy Viaduct. Come June timeframe, you're going to start seeing demolition of properties that have been acquired by KDOT through the acquisition process. So you'll see buildings start coming down. And then you're like I said, you're going to see a lot of activity. Then there's going to be a little bit of a lull because the Kansas State Historical Preservation Society will be doing an excavation of those properties down there. There's a lot of Kansas and Topeka history down in that area. And so the hopes are is we maybe recover a little more history. So you'll see that taking place in June. See a lot of activity basically through the end of the summer. Then there's going to be kind of a lull. And then this time next year, you're going to see a lot of activity once again, because that's when all the major utility work will be taking place. And there will be a presentation on Polk Quincy on the April 19th governing body city council meeting. There'll be a presentation from KDOT and Mr. Armstrong on where that project's at.
Good, thank you. I think everybody's interested to see how that's going to play out. It's kind of like the White Lakes thing. Once it gets started, everybody's waiting to see something happen physically. That's going to take a while. That's a big project. It's in scope. It really is hard to get in your mind until you see it almost kind of like in a bird's eye view of where it starts from way out over at McVicker and then coming east toward downtown. So that's a long ways, and that's a lot of work to get done. There will be some interruptions. What I was impressed about during the presentation was the detail that has gone into consideration of how that traffic flow for the residents of the city of Topeka will be affected, how detours as they go up for these kinds of projects will run traffic through different directions, so people will have to get used to that, give themselves time to get adjusted to getting to work or wherever they need to be, so they get advance notice of what's coming, I think is important. But the detail that has gone into this is really impressive, that they're trying to be as least disruptive to the neighborhoods as possible. But that's a huge project. So my real thanks goes to that detail that's put into considering how all that work will affect our residents. One of the other things that I want to talk to is this coming Thursday, our partners over at Greater Topeka Partnership and Go Topeka are going to be hosting a informational training session in collaboration with the Small Business Association. It will be held in their offices on the 6th floor at 719 South Kansas. It's free. Much of the effort is trying to encourage small business entrepreneurs and those who may not have a business already but are thinking about how do I get into a small business, how do I find financing, how do I develop a business plan, all those things that go into making you a successful business owner are going to be addressed with by the SBA, and they have a visiting director from the Small Business Administration from the Kansas City office will be hosting that. So I encourage everyone who can attend. If you can't be there all day, at least be there for those parts that are of interest to you. It starts at 8:30 in the morning. There'll be a welcoming there. There'll be myself and other elected officials will be there because it's important for us to continue to encourage and support small business growth in our city. I think I've said it more than once that small businesses really seem to keep us afloat in many ways during the pandemic. So the more we can continue to grow those, the better it is. So I would encourage people to contact Go Topeka at the Greater Topeka Partnership and just call down there and they'll direct you in the right person and get you signed up for it. Again, no cost, free. Please take advantage of this opportunity. Another thing I want to visit with you about is, and this is maybe just a brief overview, City Manager, about the April intercity visit that the city will be taking part in. Maybe give us a high-level view of that as well.
Yeah, so for the last several years, we did it through GTP. We've done intercity visits, and we've gone to different places. And what it is, you go visit basically a sister city that's very similar to the city of Topeka and look at things that they got going on, to look at ideas and then see where our ideas are and compare our progress. And so this coming up in April, we'll be going to northern part of Arkansas. And this one's going to be unique because Lawrence individuals are going with us. So it's a joint venture between Topeka and Lawrence and the Topeka Partnership and their partnership over in Lawrence. And we'll take a contingency down there of private business owners, individuals from the community, some council members, some city staff, and members from the GTP as well. And what it is, it's just really a great way to go down and you network with other individuals we're going to visit several cities down in that area and communities and get a wide scope of what's going on in that area. And so we're excited about that. The last time we went down to Montgomery, Alabama was the last one. And very interesting to see a lot of dynamics are very similar in these cities. We all deal with the same situations, but it's really a way to get a perspective on how they're doing economic development, how they're moving their cities forward. And like I said, it's really an opportunity for us to compare ourselves. You know, we're coming up on the end of Momentum 2022, getting ready to start 2027 endeavors, and so it really plays all together with that. So it's going to be a pretty exciting time down in Arkansas area.
Thank you. I'm going to put you on the spot again, though, because every time we get in front of the public, we try to talk a little bit about the city manager process in looking for our permanent city manager, because I think it's important that the community know how we're moving along, have those opportunities to give some input, ensure people that we're doing this in a very deliberate way. It's an important position. Interim City Manager Cochran has done a fantastic job. Everywhere I go, I get compliments on his work, and they want me to increase his salary, and I've said, no, it's just not going to happen, not right now. But unless I got to appoint somebody on the redistricting, and then maybe we could change something. But anyway, he does do really good work, but we are still in the search for a permanent city manager, and maybe you can update us on that process as well, Bill.
Yeah, the process is one of those that everybody wants to get it done, but yet we want to make sure we find a very qualified candidate to fill the position. And so you have to slow play a few things and make sure it takes the right shape and form. I'm really enthusiastic as to where we're at right now. We are finalizing a contract with a local company to be a third-party expertise and subject matter expert as we move forward in this process. It will include city staff as well. And so we're going to put a really nice process together. We will be presenting that to the governing body come April 2nd? Is that the first?
5th.
April 5th? What's the first, you remember the first, April 5th? Okay, I can't remember what the Tuesday was, but the first Tuesday in April, we'll be bringing that process to the governing body for review. Hopefully, they'll be satisfied with the process that we've outlined and how we're going to go about trying to find the next city manager, whoever he or she will be. Once they approve that process and they're satisfied with that process, then we will really start advertising for the city manager's position, and that'll be open anywhere from 45 to 60 days. There is a big desire from the governing body right now to find somebody relatively local or regional, which I think that is where the city of Topeka needs to be. We need somebody who has an understanding of Topeka, where we're going, and so we can get that city manager, like I said, whoever he or she is in place that understands, and so we don't have to spend a lot of time doing background stuff, that we're able to just start moving forward because we got so many things in the work. There's a lot of good things going on in the city of Topeka, and we really need to be able to keep that going.
Yes, thank you. One last thing I'd like to plug that's going on in the city of Topeka. I see the deputy chief here. In support of everything that the police department does, a key partner has always been Crime Stoppers. Crime Stoppers has been a way for the public to assist in investigations. There are a lot more citizens out there than there are police, and the more that they are aware of what's going on around them and report it to the police department, it helps with our clearance rate, and I think that shows in the numbers that we've been receiving lately about what our crime rate is here in Topeka. I think we can be very proud of what we've been able to accomplish as an agency, but the agency is quick to acknowledge that that comes with support from the community and their participation in how they help the police solve these crimes by reporting things that they have observed, taking detailed notes sometimes, not putting themselves in danger, but taking enough information that can help them as they investigate these cases. And for a long time, Crime Stoppers has been around in Topeka. It has been huge with regards to raising funds to pay for those anonymous tips that we get. And this coming Thursday, the Crime Stoppers organization will be having a chili eating contest, or chili battle, they call it. It'll be at Washburn University in Lee Arena. The tickets are $10, which is pretty cheap. I have to tell you, I'm becoming a real connoisseur of chili from all the different chili feeds that I've gone to, but I appreciate the opportunity to participate in this and to really support this. And interim city manager, as a former chief of police, I think he can speak as well to the importance of the Crime Stoppers organization and how they support the work of the police department. So I would encourage people, it's still cool outside, so it's not summer yet, so it's still chili eating weather. So take some time to stop by for a while, have a bowl of chili, visit with some friends, support the organization of Crime Stoppers, and keep that in mind when you see activity in the community that is suspicious or you think might help the department in some of their requests for public input. Keep Crime Stoppers in mind as a participating community member in keeping our public safe. So that's all the points I wanted to touch base on. Open for questions if you have any.
Well, thank you both for the press conference today. Mr. Cochran, we've heard a lot about how you've been doing a very fantastic job as interim city manager. Maybe you've said this before, but can you remind us, is there a reason you haven't thrown your own hat in the ring for the permanent position?
Well, I just personally take a look at where I'm at in my life and my career, and it's one of those things that I feel I can be a better of assistance to the city of Topeka as a chief of staff, and I like getting things done, and so for me it's an exciting time, and I like a buffer between me and the council.
That's a good way to put it. Any other questions?
Yeah, and then sticking with the city manager, we're bringing up business in downtown, and you want somebody local or regional. Are we looking for a business background type of individual for the city manager to move it forward? Or are we looking for someone that was in city council? Like, what's the...
I think that's what makes this process very interesting for the city of Topeka, because the governing body has basically said, we want somebody that's able to be in an executive role and be able to manage, whether it be a business experience or a government experience. So what we're really tailoring this search after is somebody who has experience in managing a corporation or something in those lines, but yet still has an understanding or has a governmental background. So it's really kind of a wide open search. We're not opposed to a city manager. We're not opposed to a CEO or something like that, but we're kind of looking for that hybrid is what we're really kind of going after, is somebody who understands economic development at a high level and yet understands how you manipulate and mold and move city government through those processes in economic development and for the betterments for the citizens of Topeka.
And then, do you have another?
Oh, you go.
Okay. This is kind of off topic, but the demolition of White Lakes, is there an update? I don't know how much information you have or what you can share, but is there an update on that? And then also there's a building coming down in Noto, and apparently the owner claims that he has no idea of it. So could you speak on maybe the process of those two? Where we're at?
He has no idea of the building or no idea of the demolition?
He has no idea it's coming down. That's what I got.
Well,
Just now.
if I could speak first, and then I'll let city manager. But just yesterday, since White Lakes is in my old District 5, I drove by there before coming into the office just to see the progress. And it's significant in what they've been able to take down. It's kind of taken going straight east path through it rather than, going south or so forth. They know what they're doing, so they're doing it very well. One concern somebody had brought up is that they thought they had heard that there were still transients or people taking shelter in that building. I know the police department does a very good job of still patrolling that area, and I know that the demolition team, they check into that building before they even start work that day, just to make sure somebody in some way had not made themselves into the interior. I don't know why they would want to, because that place is not someplace you want to spend any time in. But they do that safety check before they even start taking it down. I think they're on a good rate. I think the estimate we talked about was 3 to 4 months, and depending again on weather conditions. I don't think it'll go beyond that. I think they're very aggressive, very methodical in it. So I'm pleased to see it coming down. Whenever I go by, I see people kind of gathering there and taking pictures, because that was the thing people were waiting for, to see that brick and mortar start coming down. So the update is that the demolition is going well. And I'll let you speak to 9/11.
Well, look, just a little bit more on White Lakes. A lot of people are asking what's the plans for White Lakes once it's gone and all that. What I can tell you is the property owner, KDL, does have the property under contract. They have somebody that wants to purchase the property, and so they are in negotiations of how that's going to play out. And so it is under contract, so we do have a developer that's interested. We're just not in a position right now we can say exactly what those projects are going to be and what their thoughts are and ideas for the property is. But what's really good to know is that, yeah, it's under contract. There are plans for it, so it's not going to sit vacant. There's going to be a lot of activity happening on that South Topeka area here in the near future and for months to come. And so there'll be a lot going on there. But yeah, so the property is under contract, which is good news. Mm-hmm. So reference 9/11, as everybody's aware, the governing body voted unanimous to go ahead and move forward with the demolition of that. There was a resolution passed. And so we put it out for bid. That bid process closed on the 15th of this month. We awarded the contract to a company, and they will start demolition here in the near future. One of the things that we have to do before we can demo a building is we have to notify KDHE that we are demoing a building. It's just a 10-day notification period. That 10-day notification period expires April 1st, and so that company has been told that they can start the process April 1st if their timeline lines up. So that's a target date is April 1 for the start of the demolition of the building. And so the property owners may not have known the specific date as to when the building will start to come down, but they have been fully aware that that building was going to be coming down since there's been a demo order on it for several years.
The owner that's taken over White Lakes, can you give us a hint? Is it sports related? There's been rumor that it's sports related. I was just, if you can't say nothing, I understand.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
that specific property, I can say with pretty good certainty it's no on that particular property.
You know, we've previously talked a little bit in the meeting about some of the police department members and the fire department as well retiring, and you also mentioned some internal promotion going on in TFD to replace some of the members of leadership as well. What can you tell us about how that's impacting staffing or also just general staffing efforts?
For the fire department in particular?
Both.
Okay.
if you can.
Well, I'll speak to the fire department, and the chief's here today. I think the chief has done a good job of looking at the personnel that he has in command positions and has given a lot of thought to how that succession will come along. I think we have had discussions with regards to the future of the fire department and how we like to see some opportunities for growth and improvement in services. I know that's one thing that's been talked about. I was fortunate enough to go out and see some of the new EMTs in training. I saw some who were pretty confident, and I saw some who were a little nervous, but I think that might have been because the chief was there. But I think we're doing a good job, or the chief is, and for his agency, of being aware of where those changes will occur in his department and when someone leaves, how that will affect services, and planning ahead of time to make sure that those are not interrupted. I think the police department is doing an excellent job just as well. The police chief is somebody I think sometimes doesn't get enough visual credit for some of the things that he has brought to the department. I've been inviting him, and he will be visible more in the community, because I think people want to compliment the department for their work. This department has very solid support in the community. I think it's important that he face-to-face gets those compliments for his agency and for the officers that work under his command, because I think that support and encouragement just continues to help them see the future for that agency and how it continues to develop and adapt to our needs. City Manager?
Yeah, the retirements do, anytime you have transition of employees, whether it's retirements or they move on. But one of the important things I think that I always had the philosophy is, if an individual was due a promotion, they got those promotions even though staffing was short, because they deserved that. They've earned that. And so one of the things that we did at the police department, and they carry through now at the police and fire, is somebody gets promoted, but sometimes they might have to play a dual role and still perform some of their previous duties as well as the new ones until we can get staffing on board. One of the things that we do basically is it's a continual process. We always run in fire academies, and we're always running police academies. And so we have new blood coming in all the time. But every once in a while, you hit a patch like the fire department just went through and the police department just went through, where you have anywhere from 5 to 10 retirements in the span of 3 months. And really that just has to do with the way the hirement process is because we hire in bulk. We don't hire 1 or 2 at a time. And so every once in a while you run that course where you lose 5 to 10 employees in a couple months. But it's also one of those things that we are very aware of that, and we plan for that, and we know when the retirements are coming for the most part. And so, that's how we gauge our academy sizes on, how often we run academies. And so when you have those type of situations, you're not caught off guard. It's just sometimes, say you get promoted to detective, but you might still have to work your role in community for another 3 months until we have people that get released on their own that you can then move into that role. But if you've earned that promotion, I think we've always had the position that you get that promotion because you should not, you as an individual shouldn't have to suffer because we don't have that staffing. And so we do a really good job of managing that and how we piece that together.
Further questions? Okay, we're good. Oh,
Steve is available if you have questions on the CIP
okay,
process.
after the press conference? Good. Okay, well, thank you for showing up. We appreciate it. Have a good day. Thank you.